For a limited time only, get your hands on the Perca-Cola sticker pack. A link is down below. Over the past 8 years, one of the words I would use to describe the zombie storyline is inaccessible. It's difficult for those who are new to the zombie storyline to have a good understanding of what's going on. When we discuss and make very in-depth theory videos, they require a lot of prior knowledge. We throw out many terms, groups, and figures that you might not know who exactly they are. This is why I want to start a brand new series on my channel where I'm going to be going through some of the more fundamental building blocks of the zombie storyline in an effort to make sure everybody in the community is on the same page. This way, you can jump in and run with some of the best of the theorists in the community and join the many who are trying to piece together this wonderful zombie storyline. Today what I would like to do is begin with the Apothicons. The Apothicons are a group that have technically been a part of the zombie storyline since the beginning, however haven't been formally introduced to us until Black Ops 3, and I feel they are a good starting place, so let's begin. A good place to start would be the beginning. Within Gorod Krovi, you can find an excerpt from the Chronorium, which has been encrypted. The Chronorium is a book which contains a lot of secrets within the universe. If you want to learn about everything mystical from Element 115 to the Apothicons to the Keepers, the Chronorium is your place to go. When you decrypt this excerpt from the Chronorium, you receive the information. In the beginning, there were only the Keepers, but then the corruption of the Dark Aether leached its way into the realm and twisted the minds of some Keepers. These Keepers turned to the shadows of their former selves and eventually became Apothicons. This is where the Apothicons came from. They were actually once Keepers. Originally, we weren't sure what they were, until this cipher came along and we finally understood where the Apothicons come from. They were once the Keepers. We're introduced to a new thing called Dark Aether. This is the first time we ever heard about it. We're not exactly sure what Dark Aether is, we just have an understanding that it is a corrupting force, and this led to the corruption of Keepers, who then formed their own group known as the Apothicons. One thing to understand though is that Apothicons come in many shapes and forms. For example, we have the Margwas, the Mosquitoes, the Meatballs, the Furies, corrupted Keepers. There are all sorts of different beings which can eventually become Apothicons, so it isn't just limited to corrupted Keepers. Now that we have a better understanding of where the Apothicons come from and what comprises of the group known as the Apothicons, let's get a better understanding of what the Apothicons actually do. We learn about this in Revelations from some of Dr. Monty's quotes. Take a listen.
The Apothicons are beings that feed on energy. Wait, that's a oversimplification. Energy is a rather broad term. I mean, it may be better to explain it as the spark of life, the purest form of energy that ever existed. Is that better? I'm not sure. Sounded a bit hippity-dippity new agey when I said it out loud. Anyway, this energy, the Apothicons, feed on it. They conquer and consume dimensions. It's kind of their thing. The ball-crushingly bad news is that their appetite is ferocious, voracious, insatiable even. They're hungry. Very hungry. Bottom line, if you don't sort shit out, they're going to gobble up this universe, just like they gobbled up so many others.
In summation, the Apothicons are a group of beings that comprise of many different forms. However, they derive from the Keepers, who were tainted by the Dark Aether. Now, once they became the Apothicons, they developed their own language, and they also go from universe to universe trying to feed off the energy in that realm. They're almost like parasites, and they keep traveling around. That's what we saw in maps like Shadows of Evil and Revelations. When that giant squid appears over Morgue City, it's there to feed off the energy from the realm, and then basically just suck it dry until it's dead and nothing else is there. And they're trying to do the same exact thing in Revelations. However, we've stopped them every time, so we don't exactly know what happens once they finish consuming all of the energy from a universe. We assume that they just conquer it and move on, and then that universe no longer exists, and then they go on to the next one. Now, the Keepers, or the Apothicons, have people like the Shadow Man who help them complete their goals. The Shadow Man is almost like their envoy to the apocalypse. He enters realms and manipulates the people there into helping summon the Apothicons, and then once the Apothicons are there, the apocalypse begins, and they begin to consume and devour everything within that universe. Another thing that we've seen the Apothicons do is shoot Element 115. I suppose that by shooting Element 115 into several universes where it doesn't belong, it could spark a chain reaction of events that leads to the Apothicons being able to all physically enter that realm and then consume it. That's what the Apothicons do. That's their goal. They want to continue to feed off this energy like parasitic beings and then move on to the next one. One thing to understand with the Apothicons is that they're at war with the Keepers. The Keepers want to maintain order and balance in the universe, and they always find themselves going at war. We've seen images of the Great War. This is when the Apothicons most likely first had arisen and created a large-scale event in which they tried to consume a universe, but then were thwarted by the Ancients, our four characters, and the other Keepers. And this is the Great War, but the Great War is something that happens several times over, and we've learned this from a Chronorium excerpt. When solved, it reads, "Once the Great War ended with the defeat of the Apothicons, the Keepers ascended to become the wards of all universes. Surviving Apothicons were cast out, banished into the Dark Aether beneath creation. After eons of exile in the Dark Aether, the Apothicons evolved into twisted creatures that now bear little resemblance to their Keeper brethren. The Apothicons' ceaseless desire to re-enter creation, to consume and corrupt all the universes. It is the Keepers that guard against these perpetual attempts to re-enter creation, and guard against any beings that may have fallen under the influence of the Apothicons. They love to manipulate people, and they're constantly trying to manipulate others into allowing them to enter their realms, and they keep wanting to feed off more energy, and the Keepers are trying to stop them. They're in a constant cycle of war, and it began with the Great War when they were first banished, but they keep trying to poke their head out and escape from their banishment, and that's what we keep seeing over the course of these many different battles. That's gonna wrap things up for the Apothicons. I hope this gives you a good understanding of who the Apothicons are, where they came from, and what they want, and what their role is in the zombie storyline. They basically play the role of the antagonist. They are the main villain we're trying to stop. I'm gonna go. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and bye.